NewOrleans.Football. If you guys are not subscribed, then what are you doing? Head to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Pick a tier. Pick the one that works best for you. Be great. Get all the content that Nick is putting up on the site. Make sure you guys go check that out. A lot of things he's giving out for elite members. There's Zoom calls. I think he just had one this past weekend. So different tiers offer different things. So just make sure you go and check out and pick out the one that works best for you. On the site this week, obviously the Saints had a big game and Drew Brees wasn't a starter. So there was a lot to talk about. And so Nick broke down Taysom's first start in depth, how the offense changed with him in there, what he did well, and some things he can improve on. So there's a really in-depth article there just breaking down that at a much more granular level than we can here on the pod. So I would strongly encourage you guys to go check that out. And also, he wrote an article doing a film study, and just basically the Saints had 8 sacks and he broke down each one of those also. And then there were some additional Taysom notes and then some other notes about Alvin and some of how the linebackers were playing. Just basically everything you need to know about the details about what happened and how it happened. So make sure you guys check that out. And finally, this is the last favor I'm going to ask you. I promise you. Go to youtube.com, search Nick Underhill, and like and subscribe to videos. If you guys do like me, I just kind of, every once in a while, if I forget a week, I just go and just like all the ones from the past, show them a little love, hit the subscribe button, notification button if you're feeling real generous. So that helps us out a lot and we appreciate it. So all the housekeeping out the way, Nick, what's up, man?
I've been waiting 3 years to have this conversation about the Taysom start. So if you keep talking about YouTubes and Twitters and whatever, like we gotta get going, man.
I got my priorities all jacked up. So guys, let me tell you. So Nick texted me before the game. He was like, "I've been waiting on this moment." I'm thinking it's like you read the text and think, "Oh, this man is about to talk about his wedding."
Nah, man.
Nah, bro. My man was excited. You was excited, man. Get it off your chest. Go ahead.
I think it was probably the most surprising game that I've ever seen, though, because it was the opposite of everything I expected and everything I built it up in my mind to be. And I was expecting this exotic offense and seeing things that Sean has never shown before and all this stuff. And
just rolled out the old
Taysom's a pocket passer who can run like Mike Allstott. Like Mike Allstott was dropping back and throwing passes, which was unbelievable. Like I did not think that's how it was going to go. And, you kind of evaluate your thought process after, and the signs were there. Like he was doing that last year in the preseason and he was doing it, I dare to say, well, like I broke those down during the offseason, just his growth from BYU to first preseason, the second preseason with the Saints. And he did it well. But I still didn't believe it. I didn't think he was going to go into the game and be a pocket passer. I thought he was going to have to run to throw, and he threw to run, and it was unbelievable. I can't believe the approach. Thought it was solid. We'll see where it goes from here, but a very good starting point, I think. And I'm not going to say Sean's whole thing was validated, but I think the exploration of the hypothesis was validated. The reason for exploring it was validated, and I think that it's worth finding out more, but we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot to find out about him.
Yeah. First and foremost, we ain't gonna just gloss over Mike Allstott like that. We gotta park the car in that spot for a little bit. You just revive my man's career. I ain't mad at it, man.
Hey, I mean that's who he is. Oh, he's this big bruising guy that he's gonna run people over, but like he can pocket pass, which is crazy. Like that's different. That's more sustainable if he validates himself as a passer. And I think there's a long way to go to that. Yeah. But I think the very first game was good. Like I would give it a 7 out of 10. There's some things that he can improve upon, obviously.
I give him an 8.
You give him an 8? Okay.
And I don't know if it's necessarily like play-based, but I mean, look, like this was his first NFL start. Right? And I just think you got to put it in perspective. So say if it's not fair, but say they drafted him 2 years ago, say this was Garrett Grayson or something, and and they played him and it was his first game, then we'd be giving him, it'd be a little different, right? I think you got to give him credit, and I'll be honest with you, right, and just expose myself about the whole situation. I didn't really know what to think with Taysom. I had no idea if he was a good pocket passer or not. I didn't think that it would turn as well as it did. I'll be straight up honest with you, just because there was no data there, right? But he came in, he didn't turn the ball over. He tried to a couple of times. we'll get into that, but he didn't. And the NFL is a game of inches, right? You create your own luck. He didn't turn the ball over. He got Mike Thomas going. I mean, come on, that's a big deal. He kept the offense going. He settled in the second half. I thought that was a big deal. We're going to get in depth, with all this stuff. But I think the overarching point is this is his first start, and he did everything that he needed to do and more at times. And he did things that people didn't know he could do, and he carried the team. If you didn't know if this is your first time seeing the Saints, you would think they had a good team and a good quarterback. So he played well. He deserves his cake. This is his moment. He earned it. Props to Taysom Hill, man. He played better than I thought he would.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of validity to the idea too that he was going in here with an extreme amount of pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that there was maybe more pressure on him. I'm not going to make a wild statement, but I can't think of anybody recently that entered a game with more attention, more pressure.
Absolutely.
He's a 30-year-old quarterback getting his quite possibly first and only chance to prove himself as a quarterback. The whole world's expecting and wanting him to fail.
Yep.
And
that's a big deal, though, right? That point you just made. And that's what takes him from a 7 to an 8, because it wasn't just Teddy Bridgewater starting a game who started before. It was like this guy who, for some reason, he's the most hated. I don't know where that come from. And you hit it, right? It's just like the pressure was on him internally and probably externally. And
it's like everybody's been overhyped for a job interview before, and it's like having a job interview on a national stage where everybody in the world is interested to see how you do, and they're waiting for you to fall. I mean, that's a lot. And I think it did take him a little bit to settle in, and I think once he settled in, things got a little bit better for him.
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff he can do better, but overall, like I was pleased with what he showed. I thought he got through his reads pretty quickly. A lot of them, were first read throws, and he got it out, and he was seeing things quickly. And when he needed to get a little deeper, he could. I mean, I saw some criticism from people that said it looked like he didn't have a plan in the pocket. I got to think that those people, I don't know. Like when I rewatch it, and you're looking and you're watching his head, you can see where somebody's going with their read, and it's not exact. You can be looking over here and be able to get two reads in your peripheral. So maybe you think it's a first read, and it's actually the second or something, but. You saw him in his early reads getting it out. And yeah, his time to throw was over 3.5 seconds, but they play actioned on like 48% of his snaps. So it's longer developing plays and things like that. I think live, one of our criticisms was that he should have gotten out a little bit quicker on a few. But on the rewatch, I didn't feel it as much. I saw the thought process behind some of the stuff he did. And I saw him take his time with how he was, going through his reads and them running it live. I was like, you should have went. But then when I rewatched it, I was like, that might have been a more sound decision than I thought it was. And he was even doing some, high level stuff, holding guys, looking down the middle of the field, keeping safeties in place.
His eyes were like not like all over the place, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but he was more polished than I expected him to be. I thought he was going to be kind of raw. And I don't know. It's kind of like in hindsight, you look at your analysis and it seems kind of dumb, but like I didn't think he was going to be as polished of a passer as he was.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. And
his footwork was crazy. His footwork was pretty good. Not perfect, but better than you look at BYU and his feet were a mess. And the accuracy issues in college, you look at the feet then, and then you're like, how did he become more accurate? And it's extremely obvious if you compare it. The lower half of his body is entirely different.
That's coaching. That's coaching right there. That's what coaching does, right? And so one point that I've seen people make was the point you said about his reads, that he wasn't reading the field right. And I'm thinking, like, I don't really get that. I think that, his reads were, look, right. They made some of the things a little bit easier for him. Like the first play of the game, you saw them do the rollout, but there was also there was traditional stuff in there too, right? And the play action helped. But I think the criticism that I've seen about him not seeing the field, and listen, maybe that'll manifest itself in the next few games, but to say that happened this game, I don't know, man. I'm not buying it. I think people are looking for a talking point. And so, and I just, just to make it clear, right? This is just what happened on the field. This is the all 22. Nick has watched all the coaching tape and everything, and the articles that he write is based off that. It's not some hypothetical situation, right? What is on the articles on NewOrleans.Football is what actually transpired in the game. And so when we talk about this stuff, it's kind of based on some, reading and research and watching. And so, just a lot of the talking points that I've seen is just kind of things that maybe is just generated by the media. Like I said, he's not reading the field well, and, he didn't have no pressure on him because the defense played well. And I'm like, okay, well,
can't control that.
Yeah, like Lamar Jackson has a good defense last year, and that was not a problem. We don't have to. You isolate quarterbacks, right? The quarterback is independent of a lot of other things that's going on around him, and that's how you have to look at him. And so he played well. It's just that simple. He might suck the next game, but this game he played well, and we gotta give it to him. And so, you were saying some of the stuff that, you thought that he did well. I thought the same thing about him. I thought he could have escaped in the pocket. We spoke about it when you were debating it on the first down in the game, and I think you were right on that one. That it really wasn't there. So I just don't know what to say other than, man, like it was an impressive first start, and then like I said, I definitely wasn't expecting it. So what are some of the things you think that he can improve on going forward this next game? Because I think now there's I won't say a standard, but the bar is set for what we know he can be. What does he need to improve on? Like, what areas kind of did he fall a little bit short?
I mean, at the same time, I do think that he was probably told to stay in the pocket, or he told himself to stay in the pocket and be a pocket passer and not run. And I think that he could still take advantage of being Taysom Hill a little bit more than he did in this very first game.
Yeah.
The other thing too is I think that he could have probably done a better job of hitting his players in stride with the anticipation. It didn't flow quite the same way as it does with Breeze. Guys throwing coming out. There were some throws where he was hitting guys coming out of the breaks, and then other times, it's kind of he throws it to him and there's no opportunity for Yak because he waits a little bit longer to get it in. But there's two sides of that, in that he can get the ball places that Breeze can't, and he can allow plays to develop a little bit longer, and he can catch somebody a little bit later in his read than Breeze. But, I just think timing, anticipation, ball security, obviously.
Oh gosh, that's the one I want to talk about. We can get to that one. But I will say that
the deep ball, the deep balls, I think the first one is leg got hit. I think there's a hand issue there as well. 8 3/4, the hands. I think if you got a bigger hand, you got a better grip on the ball, and you aren't throwing a punt that literally hangs in the air for three. It hung in the air for 3 seconds. Then I think that's the same issue that plays into the fumbles. But I'm not going to hold that against him. He got hit when he threw it, and you saw his whole body kind of. But on the other one that got called back on the McCoy holding, I don't know if you nitpick that throw as much if it's a guy with 12 starts and you see a body of work. Everybody has a deep ball that's a little bit late, but he didn't see it soon enough. I mean, it just straight up, he didn't see it soon enough. But small criticisms become bigger criticisms when you're evaluating 25 throws. But I mean, overall, I think it's just you got to see more, and I think it's just how does he react to the reaction to him. There's film on him. People are going to know his weaknesses a little bit better. You can't play action 48% of the time or 41% of the time, whatever it was. If you're in a game that's a little bit closer, we might not ever see that because of who they're playing, but I would like to see them play in a close game, because I would like to see how he changes in a game where you can't put really as much smoke and mirrors on top of everything you're doing. But
I don't know about that, but
yeah,
let's get these blowouts.
Yeah. So
no, I get what you're saying. I think the play action point is a good one, because obviously, I mean, we're preaching to the choir here, but if it's 3rd and 10 and you're doing play action, the defense is just going to stay still. They're not going to come forward at all. So, that is a good point. I think out of how many passes did he throw? 22, I think 11 or something like that was no, he completed. Yeah, 18 was it 18 for 23 or something like that. But it was quite a few of those passes were play action, and I saw that. But I think there's a skill set that goes into running a play action pass too, and I think it's not trivial. A lot of college quarterbacks don't come in the league knowing how to run play action, because you actually have to turn your back to the defense, snap your head around, because you're getting two different pictures of the field, right? You get your pre-snap read, you hike the ball, you turn your back to the defense, and then when you turn back around, now you have to update the picture that was in your head from pre-snap, right? And so there is something to run in play action. There's a difficulty level to it, right? Because, one thing, you're under center, you're closer to the defensive line, and like I said, your back is turned to the quarterback. So I don't look at it as not saying that you saying that, but I don't look at it as a negative thing that, that he's running play action, because that's what NFL quarterbacks do. They play under center. They don't always play under shotgun. So I think that's actually, somewhat of a plus for him, because if he'd have just ran out of shotgun the whole game, then I would have been like, okay, well, maybe, he's not ready to kind of have to snap his head back around and identify players after taking his eyes off of him. So I thought that was good. I think the ball security is something that is a problem. I think it's a big problem. I think he fumbled twice in this game. I think it's twice. One where he got hit, but he was already on the way down. He fell back on it. In the second one that he lost it. That can't happen. It's the one thing that
I don't get why it's happening in abundance this year.
Maybe the hand size thing, right?
It wasn't happening before. Like
yeah, that's. I think. But here's the thing, though, right? Once teams see you, here's the thing. I can guarantee you that we are not the only ones that saw him fumble in these past games, and so now when defensive coordinators are coaching up, it's like, look, man, he's giving away gifts. So now you're exposed, right? It's the same thing with the Saints and the bootlegs earlier this year, right? Teams was going to run it until they started defending it, and they started defending it, and it slows down. So now they think this guy's a fumbler. They're gonna be going after that ball. So that's the thing that I think he has to work on the most. I think the biggest thing that I took out of this was that he operated from the pocket, and that's what you started off with, and I think that's the thing to go back to, because I don't think that guys who run a lot but can't operate as pocket passers, I don't think you can sustain that type of quarterback play over the course of multiple seasons. I think it can work short term, but I think you're going to have to evolve, right? I think, look, you're seeing maybe a little bit of that with Lamar, and I think Lamar was great last year, but I was like, you're going to have to become a little bit more of a quarterback at times, right? When it's 3rd and 11, it's kind of hard for them to respect the run in some ways. So I just think him operating from the pocket is a big deal, and I think, I'll be paying attention to that next game, see if he expands on that, or kind of stays that continues to be a strength of his.
Yeah, there's still a lot of conversations people are having about him running like a Lamar type offense, and it just simply didn't happen.
It didn't happen. No film to support.
That simply did not occur. Yeah, like I don't.
He ran the same offense that he runs with some tweaks, but he ran.
Yeah, with some tweaks. There were some deeper plays. Really, I think there was stuff that we really haven't seen a whole lot of since like 15, 16. Mm-hmm. And then even still, like some of the plays that they did run that Drew runs, you saw a different approach to it. And, I think you saw that with, just more downfield passes, period.
Yes.
Not as many checkdowns. The running back's not as involved, unless it was like a design play. And just a lot of different – there was a pass to Mike that I think it was a 19-yard gain. Drew just never would have been able to throw the ball. Like, he got it out so late. And with Drew, you got to see it immediately to go down the field. With Taysom, you can wait a little bit. And it's not like Taysom has, a Mahomes arm, but he has more of an arm than Ruiz. Yeah. And you
average
saw that,
above average arm, but
you saw that on the mic drop. Like, they just weren't ready for some of the heat that he was putting on the ball. And I think that there's probably an argument that he could have a little more touch. Not everything needs to be, he can run like Mike Allstott. He doesn't need to throw like Mike Allstott looks. Like, chill out a little bit. Just get it there. You don't have to kill anybody, but
you got to get the big neck pad on his shoulder.
He definitely needs a neck roll, man. He's a neck roll guy.
If he rolls out at quarterback with a neck roll.
Oh, my God. It fits, though. It fits. You should definitely do that.
I want that to happen so bad.
Just stuff that thing in the back there like your arm's in that shirt, man. That's just, he's got to get it done. He's got to get it done.
Oh, my gosh. He could be like Drew Bledsoe. He used to walk around like this after he got benched with except it be in his neck.
Oh, man.
God, that is hilarious, man.
I do want to say, though, I do think that if they had gone to Jameis instead of Taysom, I do think that the Saints could have created a plan that made him look really good.
Yeah.
I think there's an element of this that the Saints could probably win games with any quarterback at a certain level and probably elevate them to a point. They had Luke McCown look so good. But
the Carolina game, man.
Was that 15? I think I wrote a story after that. Like Sean's plan was so good in that I was like, he needs to take elements from this game plan, like moving forward and make him like a more of a part of Breeze's, because it was such a good plan. And they're 6-0 now with backup quarterbacks. I think they made, well, Teddy was a little more hesitant than. Look, that's one thing. Let's get to this point too. Like Taysom's confidence in this game was, once he settled in, was kind of crazy. There was no hesitation. He wasn't afraid to try to put the ball in the tight windows to his own detriment early in the game. He should have thrown an interception.
Yeah, he tried.
But, I think it took Teddy like 2 or 3 games to get to the confidence level that you saw Taysom at. And I'm still not sure, even at the end, like he still had the willingness to, get it out as quick and take some shots. Like Taysom's confidence was out of this world. And if he can build on this, there's, again, we aren't coronating anybody. Like, I could see him go. There's a lot of quarterbacks in NFL history that had one good start, and then the next game something happens, or even
one
3
game
or 4
only.
games.
One game only right now we're talking about.
So I could see it going either way, but there's a lot of things in this game that I think, saw positively, and if he builds on it, there's a lot there. I mean, there is. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anywhere near this guy's the future or anything like that, but he could be a viable. There's a possibility that he's a viable player, and possibly even more than that. But it's a very good first exposure, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think he can be considered. This is gonna sound crazy, but you can he's an NFL quarterback, right? Like before, maybe people didn't consider him that way, which I understand because you hadn't seen him do it. But you watched him and you say, okay, this guy's an NFL quarterback with the ability to run, but he looked like a quarterback in the pocket. And I see a question, and this is a good question. I'm glad that it popped up I saw it in chat too. HB247 said, how much do you think it benefit him having to start against a bad Falcons defense? The way that I look at quarterbacks is I just try to isolate the quarterback and what the quarterback is doing. I think when you're talking about teams as a whole, you can look and say, okay, they went against a bad defense. But with quarterbacks, look, if a guy is making the right reads, then it's a right read, whether, the guy who we threw it to is covered or not, right? Or, I just try to isolate the quarterbacks and what they're doing because, it's a lot that goes into that position. I do think he didn't go against the best defense in the NFL, right? But they've been playing better lately, right? They was 3-1 in the last few games, and all the games they're losing, Falcons could have a winning record, right? So I understand the question. I think it's I think it's a fair one. And it probably helped a little bit, but I don't think that takes away from the game that he played.
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, there's an element of competition. Of course. Yeah. I mean, but I don't know how to adjust for that. Like, I honestly, I don't know how to say, well,
the cornerback would have been closer.
Yeah. Well, this would have worked against the Falcons, but if he was playing quarterback for the Falcons, it wouldn't have worked against the Saints. Mm-hmm. I don't know the answers to those things. Yeah. I do think that the way Dennis Allen has a defense playing, that Taysom probably would have been a little bit more confused and probably turned the ball over a couple times because, I don't think you want to be a young quarterback playing against this defense. But so, I mean, obviously it helps, but I think that's everybody, man. That's everybody. It's just an impossible thing to answer. But we aren't going to really see him against a good. I think Fangio's
they don't have a good defense. They have a good defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
they confuse them though.
Yes, they're smart. They might expose a couple things. So I mean, it'll be a little bit different. But look, I mean, Atlanta's got good coaches too. I mean, I don't know.
The NFL, man. Guys. These coaches are smart. They got, they're coaches for a reason. That
I think Atlanta was probably a little surprised that he came out and sat in the pocket too, though. I don't think anybody in the world,
except for Sean Payton, Rick Lombardi, Pete Carmichael, you're absolutely right.
Unless Tyler Davison was over there snitching, hey, he can really throw from the pocket. And if that's the case, they weren't ready for it.
Get Tyler out of here. I think the offensive lineman may be surprised that he was throwing from the pocket. Look, I think you had a good segue there. The thing that if there was anything I would say that helped this game for Taysom, I would say that it's the freaking play of the defense. I mean, this is one of the I don't know how, if I'm. Last year, I remember good stretches of defense, and the year before, there's always a good stretch of defense, right? And they come together, but it's just off the top of my head. I just think that this is some of the best defense that I've seen this team play in recent memory. And I'm not trying to hot take this thing, but they're playing good at all levels. Nick, I just kick it off, man. Pass rush. You broke down, guys. There's an article on the side I've talked about at the beginning of the pod, breaking down every sack that the Saints had against the Falcons. There were 8 of them. Each one of them broke down into details. Go check that out. But Nick, just starting with the defensive line, what did you see from those guys? How did they sack this man that much? What happened? What went wrong?
Good coverage.
That man. I tweeted out the same thing. We share, guys. Me and Nick always text each other that we share a brain. But I said, man, these are a lot of coverage sacks.
They were. I mean, look, some of the stuff that, again, it's the little details. And we've talked about the incremental progress from the bootleg to the cover 3. You know, the quarters having the eyes in the right places, all that stuff. And they're like on one of them, one of these sacks, you know, they're running a combo route with 2 out routes, and the way they had it set up is in week 1. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Janoris Jenkins would have not switched, and they would have picked each other, and Matt Ryan would have had a quick out route that should have been 4 yards and turned into 40 because there would have been nobody there. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So they identify it before, and Chauncey takes the high guy, Jenkins takes the low guy, and there's nobody there. So they
switched in real time. Like as the ball was being snapped, the guy was moving, and as the both players saw it, you know, Janoris had the outside leverage. He switched out to the guy. I mean, I was like, when you sent it to me, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the stuff they should be doing, but they weren't. And this is, you know, that's the difference between a good defense and a bad defense. And they're becoming a good defense. They're well coached. Aaron Glenn's a good coach. He's got these guys playing well. He's got Malcolm Jenkins doing stuff that he's never done in his career before. You know, he's never been a deep safety with 2 deep. He's never known how to do that. He's never been comfortable doing it. It took him a while. He figured it out. He's doing that well. He's playing in the box well. Everything's going good for him. Chauncey's playing really well.
Best player. He might be playing the best player of his career. This stretch that he's on right now. Yeah, he was good last year. He's that kid is ridiculous right now. I mean, I think I said it before on the pod, but he's like a Jamal Adams. That's the type of player that he is. Maybe he's not as good, but I'm just saying the style of player. That's just exactly when I watch them both play. I think those guys play similar games. I think Chauncey may be a little bit better in coverage though. But yeah, I'm with you. I think. What about Janoris Jenkins this game? How did?
It's definitely, I think, probably the best game he's played since he's been here. He was outstanding, and he got targeted a lot too. And I think he only gave up 3 catches in the game, and nothing notable. Yeah. So he played really well, but the coverage was good. It allowed them a little bit more time to get some coverage sacks. And then, you know, the guys on the defensive line played really well. David Onyemata's at a point where he's so engulfing of people that even when he trips and falls down, he's tripping and falling down into quarterbacks because he has so much momentum going forward. Like he seriously was getting like double teamed and he fell through a double team into a sack. Yeah, that's just crazy. Some of the stuff he's doing. And then Trey Hendrickson,
Mr. Steal your facts.
But he ain't though. He ain't stealing nobody's sacks. He bull rushed Jake Matthews in the Matt Ryan and sack. Like he's legitimate. He's not.
He sacked the man with another man.
his talent level is not commensurate with being in the league leading sacks. Like let's just be real. Like, but he's much better than I think people want to give him credit for. And I think it's, you know, I've been saying it, but it's high time that like people got to start putting a little bit. Yes, absolutely, man. Like he's playing well. He's getting sacks. It's not all like everybody else is doing everything and like, oh, here's Trey. Like, no, he's making stuff happen on his own. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
He's killing. Like look. If you told me today that he ends the season with 14 sacks, like that's very believable. He has 9.5 right now. Like it would be a downturn. It would be a downturn. Yeah, like. You would cut his rate basically in half, and he could still like.
If someone told you before the season that he would have 9.5 sacks, like you're writing that check instantly.
Yeah, I mean, but if someone told me he was gonna have 9.5 sacks, and that but first they told me there was gonna be a worldwide pandemic, I would probably believe anything could happen after that. But 2020, yeah. I mean,
like Garrett is gonna miss the next couple of games, so this guy's like
he's in a race with Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Trey Henderson and Aaron Donald.
Like Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire. Like,
man,
come on.
Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire.
That's my only baseball knowledge.
Listen,
that's the
man,
only point of reference I can bring up on baseball.
Listen, I think we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about how many baseball players can you name, and that didn't turn out too well for me. Yeah. I'm below average. I think. Look to the point, and listen, I think the pass rush was good this game. I think that earlier this season, if the coverage was as it was last season, earlier then the pass rush wouldn't have saved them. A lot of these sacks were Matt Ryan, like, Reed not there, Reed not there, Reed not there. Oh crap, sacked, right? It was like they were taking away the first, second. I don't know if DA coached some guys up to know what their route combinations were. I don't know if the man coverage was this. It was a combination of things, right? Sticky man coverage, but it was cover. It was a lot of coverage sacks, right? And I just gotta give the secondary credit because the defensive line played well, but they played. I would say they played better against the Bucs than they did against the Falcons, but they had more sacks this game, and so I just give all the credit to the secondary, specifically out with their best. Arguably their best player, I don't even know if it's arguably, their best corner on the team not playing. So, let's give those guys credit. Henderson playing so well. Davenport, I don't even know how many snaps he played this game. Really, I just didn't see him in there a lot. I think he had maybe 3 pressures. I think him and Henderson maybe had close to the same amount of pressures. Henderson just converts his into sacks, which is always cool. But yeah, I think that I'm giving this the credit to the coverage in this game. Sean Payton made a comment on the coach's show, and he said David Onyemata is like the Jari Evans of defensive linemen. And I was like, okay, that's, you invoke the Hall of Fame guard, right? But he was just talking about his consistency, and he said that the guys continue to get better, and he don't take it for granted. So that's high praise. And he's having a ridiculous year. He's having a ridiculous year right now. So I know we gave him props last podcast, but if he continues to play like he is, then I think we're gonna keep doing it. So
the Jari thing kind of makes sense. 4th round pick, gets a second contract, becomes an anchor point on the line. But like one guy's
a Hall of Famer, though. It's like, what are you saying, Sean?
Yeah, he ain't a Hall of Famer, but he's become really good. He's really reliable. He's smart. He's
power. I just want to see how strong this guy really is. Like I want him to like arm wrestle Aaron Donald or something. I just want to see what's going to happen. He just looks strong, man. Like on the field, you just see him throwing guys around. It's kind of hard. It's kind of weird to see offensive linemen get thrown around like that. You don't see that happen a lot,
I think it's fair to say though that this year he's taking much better advantage of the opportunity he's been given without Sheldon Rankins on the field. I thought he didn't necessarily seize that. Obviously, they felt differently, and they paid him, and they thought he did well at that point last year. Yeah, they did, but I think it's showing up in more identifiable ways this year. And you don't even got to look hard. Like he's telling you to look at him. Davenport did play a little bit less in this game. I still think he got a good amount of snaps. One of the things they did in this one, there was more 3 defensive lineman looks than
with the linebackers rushing.
Yeah. So and they were disguising their blitz. Malcolm was involved in that quite a bit too. DeMario did. The way DeMario blitzes is
so incredible. That's a great segue. I was about to talk to you about. I was going to ask you to speak on the linebackers and their ability to rush the passer, which is
Quan had a good rush. DeMario got a sack just off of just reading play action while nobody else on the field read play action, and then bam, open lane straight to Matt Ryan, and just the intelligence there is incredible. He's so cerebral, and it just shows up just the way he plays the game. He's so smart, man. It's unbelievable some of the stuff he sees, the way he's able to react. He's just different than other guys on the field, and it's
IQ is off the chart. You could see
his intelligence. Yeah,
you could see it in the way he moves. He plays so fast. When a guy plays fast, it's either really good or really bad. right? Because when you're playing fast, you're either seeing a lot or you're seeing or you're seeing
You're
nothing.
selling out one way or the other. Yeah.
Man,
And you're either right or wrong. And he plays fast and can adjust and do
Yes.
things in real time that other people can't. And that's the difference between him and Quan, honestly. And I thought Quan played great this game.
Yeah.
I mean, having 2 weeks to prepare for a game as opposed to 3 days, you saw the growth just in the comfort and knowing what he's doing and all that
plays
stuff.
fast too, man. He's
He
like
does.
Chauncey Garner, but linebacker version.
He does.
Like, he plays with energy, and he is. I could understand why they wanted him now.
And Chauncey's the same way too. When Chauncey goes, he's very, very right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Very wrong. And he's most of the time he's right and he sees things well. But there's times he gets out of position. There's times you see Quan get out of position, and
Yep.
that's why. Oh man, Mickey fleeced the 49ers, but they got him for now
nothing.
Just a conditional 5th round pick.
They're gonna get that pick.
Yeah. So.
Take the 5th.
But yeah, I mean that's why he was available. He's not DeMario, but he has the athleticism. I think his athleticism's comparable. His range is comparable. It's just he doesn't see the field as well. He doesn't tackle as well. But
I think it goes. Go ahead. My bad.
This was a great game for him. That's it though. Yeah. Like it was a great game for Quan. I think there's an argument that they have the best linebacker duo in the South.
I do too. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it. I think it's close because that kid from Atlanta is good. His name starts with an O. He's been good this year, and Deion Jones. But yeah, I think you can make a case like how they're playing right now, definitely. But to your point about Quan, I think it goes to show like if you put a guy in the right situation, it totally changes the player. And like Demario Davis wasn't Demario Davis when he played for. Now he was probably still smart and he studies more film, and he's been he said that, but you just put the guy in the right scheme, in the right situation with the right players around him. Look what happened to Demario Davis when he became a Saint. Quan Alexander just had a good game. Janoris Jenkins, they brought him in, and he's been probably the most consistent defensive back on the team throughout the year, maybe, because Malcolm had his times where he wasn't playing well. We know about Marshawn, we know about Marcus, we know about Chauncey. He's the Jenkins. I mean, he missed maybe a game or two. I forget how many it was, but just you put these guys in this situation where, the coaching is. I think the Saints have probably some of the better assistant coaches. And I just say that based on how the units are playing, right? Quan Alexander comes in, they trade for him. He's playing great. Demario Davis comes, he's playing great. The defensive line is playing great. The secondary, they figured that out. So I just think putting these guys in a certain situation, you begin to get more out of them, and I think it's showing on this team. They're playing up to their talent level. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the way Quan's gotten up to speed is a huge credit to new linebackers coach Michael Hodges. Yeah, I think that he's proven.
He's fun to listen to his interviews too, man. I could listen to that dude talk football all day.
I have it's hard to know how good a position coach is or isn't until you see kind of like results like this. But I will say that he presents extremely well. He's impressive. The way he speaks is impressive. He's just like he can command. When he talks, he has a commanding presence, and it is like head coach, like just in the presence. Everything else has to be proven, but just the way when he talks, you kind of like he has just a way of making you listen. It's also like it's professorial, but also personal at the same time. He just has he knows how to present himself very well. And,
I'm with you. Professorial, you guys. You don't get words like that on all pods, so I'm just saying, man.
Hey,
you were here, you not.
that's the $9 a month word.
$9 a month word. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Coach Payton also, he mentioned with Quan on the coaches show, he said that he spoke about how good of a pass rusher he is, and I think that is. Yeah, you got a better voice than me, man. I hate my voice. It's all good though. Yeah, I know, man.
Someone say something nice.
Yeah, can someone please tell me I got a good voice in chat just so I can like finish this pod. But yeah, Coach, he was talking about how good of a pass rusher Quan Alexander was, and I think it's something that he spoke about how it can give you an advantage when you're dealing with guys like running backs who have to block them or offensive linemen because these guys are fast, right? So I don't think it's an accident that they have two guys now that they feel like they can send and can get to the quarterback. even if it's against maybe an O-line, if you get him in space or a running back, because a running back is not going to block either one of those guys. So, yeah, I definitely think, hey, that was an upgrade to this defense. Like you could feel his presence when he's on the field. He's like I said, it's like a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson clone, but like at linebacker. It's fun watching him play. I'll say that.
So, what do you want to do? 3 questions? 3 questions and out?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you one more thing. What last time we spoke, we said, okay, if Drew hypothetically Drew misses 4 games, I said 3-1 would be great. I would understand 2-2. Has that changed after this one game, or are you sticking with, your take from last week?
So if he misses 3 games,
3 more games.
3 more games.
Yeah. What would you think? What should the record be now with a little bit more information?
I'll say 3-1.
I'm going the same thing. Yeah. I don't want to
I think they should be able to beat. It did snow in Denver today. It's supposed to melt, but like the weather, look, that's low key kind of a thing with the hand size. If it were wet, if it were cold, like that's where.
That's a good point.
That's where it would show up. He did play, football at BYU, so it's not like he's not used to being outdoors or anything. But like that would be if there's an issue gripping the ball, it would show up more in that kind of situation.
Yeah. No,
but I think they win. I think they go 3-1 or better.
So when you say 3-1, are you saying 3-1
overall, including the last one?
Yeah, right. No, so you think they're going 3-1 because you got to pick? You just think they're going to lose one, or is there a specific team you're looking at saying probably going to lose this game?
No, I'm just saying realistically.
I get you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like realistically, you probably shouldn't predict that a team's going to go. What is it, 9-0 with backup quarterbacks over 2 years? But just realistically, I don't.
So let me help you out.
Like it's just extreme. That would be an extreme opinion to have. Like it's just not logical, but maybe it happens. So, but I won't predict it.
Here's what you're trying to say. You're saying that 3-1 is good, and what kind of is going to happen, but you're going to pick them to win every game.
I'm saying Sean Payton's a beast, and like I think that
if I have to, I would guess that they're going to probably win. I'm with you on a 3-1, but in just like isolated, I wouldn't pick them to lose any one of these games. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not gonna pick the Broncos. I'm not gonna pick the Falcons again, and I'm not gonna pick the Eagles. But it's like one of them probably gonna end up being a slip up. So and the Bucks, the Bucks are giving them a little bit of a hand. So if you guys are looking for a team to root against, guys, root against Seattle. But yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think that. All right, let's get to some questions.
Yeah, throw in some questions. We need 2 more after this one, so we're gonna.
All right, if you guys got a good question, and I guess I got the worst voice, but I guess I'll win in an arm wrestling match. So I'll take the little wins I can get. All right, what are your thoughts on the center, the rookie Cesar Ruiz's struggles? You take that one. That's just your whipping boy.
He needs to get better. He does. He needs to get more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about him a lot.
Yeah, I feel like we are too hard on him, but he's not
I don't, because
he's not playing well.
Yeah, I mean, look, a mistake is a sack. A mistake is 11 broken ribs. It can be. Well, I mean, it can knock a guy out, and it's not his fault that this guy got banged up like that. You guys are going to make mistakes. People are going to get hit. I'm just saying that when he makes a mistake, it's happening live in real time while he's learning. He's learning in real time.
Yeah. And
those mistakes can cause injuries or sacks or negative plays or whatever. And
that's fair.
It's just, he's got to clean it up. I don't think it's fair. I think his season's been unfair to him. I think his circumstances are extremely unfair. I hate judging him. I hate talking about him anyway, because I want to say, hey, we got to wait and see, but he's playing. So you have to evaluate the plays that's happening.
Defensive tackles don't care. They're going after him, and no, I think it's listen. I think it's just he's a rookie and it's not going well for him. But I think I do trust this team, and I trust the coaching staff. And if he can be successful, he will be, because he has everything around him that should facilitate that for him. So. Yeah, but he does have to play better, no question. All right, next question. Can we keep our defense at the end of the year? So I'm guessing you mean keep them
financially, like Marcus Williams, Trey
Oh
Hendrickson.
gosh, no. I mean, look, Nick, you're the cap guru. I don't, I don't know who's you gonna pay Marcus Williams. He's been better. Kwan Alexander, that contract. Can you keep that? I don't think the defense comes back in the same form that it is.
Some people are going to go. Yeah, I mean, Quan will have to restructure to come back. You can't pay him as much as he's on the books for. I think it's like $13 million or something. There's just no way. Yeah, you can't pay him twice as much as DeMario or close to twice, whatever.
Not even more.
You can't. Marcus Williams, he's playing better. That's a decision you got to make though. And then I think that's probably more price tag based. If he gets paid off of the number of interceptions, he'll probably price his way out. If he gets paid off of, what he's actually doing, maybe it's a little bit closer.
Yeah, that's a hard contract to figure out.
It is. And really, it's just, it all comes down to personal opinion. And I think people are divided on him, like in that building, I just think everybody has a different opinion on him. And either you're okay with some missed tackles for the interceptions and the things he can do in coverage, or you're not.
He was blowing some coverages earlier this year too, though.
He did. Everybody did though. And I'm kind of at the point where, okay. I mean, I'm like, I started my evaluation on the whole team like later in the year, because it just kind of feels like everything that happened early just was a little bit fluky, and I don't think it was people displaying their talent. I just think a lot of stuff was a miss. And
that's fair.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I think that's actually a really fair and logical that keyword logical way to play it out. And I just saw a comment which back to Ruiz. He says, he's probably playing out of position, which I think there could be some validity there. I think if maybe he's a different player at guard than he is, maybe he's a below average guard and he's a really good center. So like Pete couldn't play on the right side, right? They have to figure out where he belonged, and a second contract guy. So maybe with Ruiz, he's a guy that that's eventually they're going to want to put him at center and he'll probably succeed there. So that's a good comment there, Steve.
And Trey's one too that I think it'll probably be tough to keep him if somebody pays him for all those sacks.
No, yeah, he's not. Trey's not coming back, guys, unless the Saints just like absolutely feel like he can't go nowhere. Like he's priced his way out of this team. Like, take the 3rd round pick. Listen, you're probably gonna get a 3rd from Marcus. You're probably gonna get a 3rd from Trey if they leave. So just
if Jameis starts somewhere, you're gonna get a pick for him. There are ways to keep players, and it just kind of depends on how you want to manage the cap. And if you feel you have to keep somebody, you sign Marshawn to an extension, Ramczyk extension lowers the cap. You can always
Teron, you can do something with Teron, extend him or something like that.
Trey, like if you wanted to give somebody a new contract, you can always do like extremely aggressive things to push the money down the line. Like you don't have to give them a signing bonus. You can give them roster bonuses, and then when those roster bonuses hit. So with the signing bonus, like let's say if it's a 5-year, $20 million, 5-year contract, $20 million signing bonus, it prorates for each year. You could go, instead of doing that, you could do a signing bonus in year 2 at 20 million. You hit it at a ghost year on the end, and then it spreads out. So you aren't taking any money in the first year, and then in the second year, it's only 4 million. Yeah. And the cap goes up, because fans are back in the stands, and then in 23, you're in good shape. So, I mean, there's ways to do that with a lot of guys. It just depends on how the cap goes, how aggressive the Saints want to be with keeping this team together. If they want to keep it together, there's ways to keep it mostly intact. You don't have to lose a ton of people, but you can also, be prudent about it and say, hey, Drew's gone next year. Maybe it isn't it.
Yeah.
And, you never know. So, I mean, there's multiple approaches, but if you want to remain aggressive for another year, you can. And then the year after that, I think you have really hard decisions, but we'll see.
Yeah. You're going to be pushing money out to 2027.
Yeah.
What do you think about Dennis Allen's job after this season?
Job this season? Like, how's he doing?
Oh, I mean, he's
elite.
Doing out. Yeah.
It took a while, but it's elite.
Yeah, he's doing. Listen, I said from the start, I thought DA was calling good games, and
the execution was bad.
The execution was bad. I thought the concept of what he was trying to execute earlier in the year was great, and I just think those.
It's not DA's fault when they're playing zone and on the outside, the player's looking to the middle of the field, and there's a guy running up behind him up the sideline. That's not DA's fault. Like the call was right. The cornerback was actually in the right position. He had him covered. He just had him covered with his back instead of his front. You know what I mean? Like that isn't DA's fault. Early in the season, maybe, you're calling some stuff, cover 4 or whatever, and Malcolm isn't totally
Getting
comfortable with
it,
it.
yeah.
I mean, at some point, maybe a little bit of that is coaching, but I don't know. I have trouble blaming him for that stuff. I think since everything came together, again, I'll put DA in the category with the players. I'll start my evaluation at the point where the talent started executing to a level commensurate with their talent.
Season.
Yeah,
it's a lot of asterisks next to.
So once everything came together, like they've been elite. I don't know if they'll remain elite, but they've been elite. But I think
games is only one thing to call them, and that's elite.
And I think, even if there's a variance in that by the end of the season, it's, the floor is good to very good. Like, I don't think I don't think you're going back down to that bad level. And early in the season, it was bad. And I'll throw everybody in there because they weren't getting
defense. Everybody
position coaches, coordinators. Nobody was executing the way they wanted. Whatever. They're past that. They're playing really good now.
Yep. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving. Hey, I want to make an announcement on here, guys. My contract has been extended. I got the hoodie. The bag has been secured. The hoodie came this week, so you guys won't be. I'll be around for a little bit more. It was a tough negotiation. Sean and Alvin. I thought I was going to get traded. I thought there was going to be some transactions going on. It was just weird around here. Me and Nick was kind of beefing with each other, and I was looking at his hoodie. And I was just getting jealous because I had a tank top. I mean, a polo, but the bag has been secured. I'm here, man. I'm here for the stay. I'm here for the long term. 10-year contract.
It's not guaranteed, though. It's not guaranteed. So.
It's like 5 ghost years.
I mean, it's signed. It's a signed contract, but there's no guarantees.
Yeah. It's like, that it's like if I'm hired on the first day of the new year, then the contract is guaranteed. So we'll see how it works out. As long as I don't mess up between now and then, and the boss above both of us agrees. So, all right, guys. Listen, we had the viewers for the live stream is going up. I love it. Thank you guys for just showing up, man. We appreciate it. I said it before, but it's super dope to see live feedback as we're doing the pod. It's a good feeling, man. Just you guys will say something, it'll make me think of something, and a topic will pop up, just and I love it, man. I love it. So thank you guys for showing up. Please continue to, if you got some friends who are into this type of thing, let them know. If not, they want to go back and watch it, point them to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. We really appreciate the YouTube support.
Hey, real quick, I got to shout out my guy PAT, man. He's brings the flavor in the funk. Yeah, the guy the intro song.
Hey, listen, man. That's like
I love that.
That's day one. That's day one pod right there, man. Shout out to PAT, man. You got a little remix, just holler at us, man. I'll throw it at the start of the pod. I'll take care of that. If you get bored over this Halloween break, man, just holla.
It's Thanksgiving, not Halloween, man. You're a month behind. Behind.
Same thing. It's like what, 3 weeks off. But yeah, Thanksgiving. So hey, you guys be safe over the holiday. Please be safe. Eat some turkey and have a good time. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. We out.